Guys, good morning. It's Miss True Love here for another lesson. Today we're going to be looking at a subject that we kind of briefly touched on in our lessons on figurative language. Today our lesson is on idioms. And so we're just going to look at some idioms and a little bit more detail. And let's just go ahead and get started this morning. So the first thing we got to know, what in the world is an idiom? The type of language that's not meant to be taken literally in most cases. These phrases are meant to just have a figurative language, not a literal language. And it paints a picture in someone's mind compared to as a comparison for what is literally implied by the terminology being used. And you'll see what we mean when we get into this a little bit further. But it just paints a picture of something in your mind. Most idioms come from the form in the form of phrases known as idiomatic phrases. Idioms are used in everyday life and all types of conversations and discussions. Um, a lot of times people use the word colloquialisms. I can't speak this morning. Um, like regional phrases. When I moved to Alabama, um, there was a lot of language I didn't understand. A lot of little sayings like knee high to a grasshopper. I'm still not exactly sure what that really means. Um, but, they're just sayings that, are you really knee high to a grasshopper? No, it's a type of figurative language. So we're going to look at some idioms this morning. We're going to see what they, and just see what they mean. And we're just going to just have a little bit of fun with it today. Because you know what? Guess what? Reading and language and it is supposed to be fun. But when you're reading a passage or you're reading a story and you come across idioms, you have to learn how to decipher them and figure out what they mean. So we're going to just look at some common idioms. When I started looking at this, there was tons that I could have really used. If you go online and look up idioms, you're going to find tons of them. Um, but I just picked a handful. So the first one we're going to look at is up in the air. So if somebody says, our plans are up in the air. What does that mean? Does it mean they're about to take off and fly, or what does that mean? They're going to, you know, what it means is when it says we're still up in the air about where to travel this summer, it means you haven't decided what you're going to do. The plans are up in the air. You just don't know what you're going to do. So up in the air. You're not literally up in the air. When you say you're to be on the same page with someone, are you really on the same page? Are you reading the same book? No. To be on the same page with someone is to think in a similar way, to be in agreement with someone. Um, as it says over here in an example, I work well with my coworker Janice because we're often on the same page. We agree on almost everything. Now, like in this sentence, in this passage over here at the bottom, if you look at the words around it, you can kind of see some context clues. When it says down here, when we agree on almost everything, it kind of gives you the definition of what this idiom is talking about. So, if in doubt, look at the passages around it, what you're reading around an idiom, and it will also help you to come into some understanding of what that idiom is trying to say. When it says let's move up in the world, does it mean we're going to move up, like up north or up somewhere? No, it just means If you're moving up in the world, that means that you're becoming upwardly mobile. You're successful. You're about, I mean, you may have been promoted. You're getting something better to happen in your life. You're moving up in the world. A dime a dozen. Now, if those were donuts and we could get a dozen for a dime, that would be great. But no, we're not talking about donuts. We're talking about if something is a dime a dozen, it's something that comes very easily. Um, Something that's usually not, it's something of great value. It's something that, it says those toys at carnivals are a dime a dozen. You get those little cheap toys, like say like you go to Dave and Buster's, you win those little tickets, and you go into that little store, and they give you the little. I mean, you get all the little silly things that you get, or into a little game room or whatever. They're a dime a dozen. They really don't cost a lot, but um, so a dime a dozen. When you say you catch someone's eye, do you really catch it? Do you really like reach up and grab it? No, that just means you catch someone's attention. You attract someone's visual attention. At the bottom it says, I was walking through the store when a beautiful pink dress caught my eye. Um, and as you can see, you can use different variations of the verb catch. In this one, it said, it caught my eye. So, I mean, they're kind of, can be, it doesn't have to be word for word. The idioms are sometimes just have some variation to it. If you see someone that you think is just particularly good looking or something, you might say that they caught your eye. Now, I don't think any of you guys probably would say that. You would have something else fancy, and maybe I need to learn that, and you need to teach it to me. Cry your eyes out. Does it really mean you're gonna cry and your eyes are gonna pop out? No, it just means you're crying a lot. You're crying heavily. Um, I was so upset that day. I cried my eyes out. She cried her eyes out when he left her for another girl. Yes, I've seen that happen. I might have done that myself at one time in my life. Um, so if you're crying your eyes out, you're real emotional. You're crying. It's a big cry. It's not like a little cry. This is a big cry. You know the drill. Not really like the drill, like it has a picture over here of a man with a drill head. Um, it means that you know what's happening. You know what's expected of you. If you know the drill, when you come into my classroom when we're on campus, you come in and we work on our question of the day and our words of the day, and we know the drill, and we know that we have classwork always on the board, and we know what's expected of us. You know the drill. You know what your expectations are when you do classwork. Um, you know the drill. You know what the expectations are. You know what's about to happen. You know the drill. When pigs fly. When pigs fly, that's when something is not likely to happen. I'll believe that when I see pigs fly. A lot of people use this idiom. So when pigs fly, the cat's out of the bag. When somebody lets a cat out of the bag, usually someone shares a secret that you don't want them to know. Such as my friend let the cat out the bag, and she told me about the surprise party they had planned for me. When you let the cat out of the bag, you tell a secret to someone who shouldn't know. Um, The world is your oyster. That was always one that's just kind of a little bit weird to me. But if someone tells you the world is your oyster, that means you have the ability and the freedom to do anything or go anywhere. That means, it's kind of like you got a blank check. You can do what you want to do. When you're young, the world is your oyster because you can plan and prepare for your future. And so each of you right now, the world is your oyster. You guys have a lot of opportunities afforded to you, and so right now the world is your oyster. On cloud nine. If you're on cloud nine, I mean, there's not like cloud one, cloud two, cloud three, cloud four. You know what I mean? It just means you're very excited. You're very euphoric. You're happy. You're ecstatic. Um, when I got my promotion, I was on cloud nine. When the check came, I was on cloud nine for days. When you're on cloud nine, you're extremely happy. I'll be on cloud nine when we get back to um our normal routine of life and going to being back on center and having some structure in our life. So yeah, I'll be on cloud nine. I don't know how many of you guys feel the same way. Me. If someone says it's not rocket science, it just means that it's something that's not difficult to understand. I think I should be able to figure out how to fix the light. It's not rocket science. Um, you should be able to do the lesson on IXL today on idioms. It's not rocket science. You can do it. You got this. You heard it through the grapevine. They even made a song about that back in the day. Heard it through the grapevine. It means you heard some rumors about someone or someone. You didn't really like talk to a grapevine. Um, it just means that you heard something that somebody said about somebody who said. Usually, if you hear it through the grapevine, don't believe it. Don't listen to the grapevine. That's my advice to you. In the towel. Throwing in the towel. Um, I'm really going to encourage all of you not to throw in the towel. If you're throwing in the towel, that means you're going to quit an activity, stop making an effort. It's like this little picture over here that says, I've had enough. I'm throwing in the towel. Well, I know this time is really difficult, and you might doing your Job Corps stuff from home might not be easy. It may not be fun. It may not be what you thought you signed up for. But I'm going to encourage you not to throw in the towel, to keep on with the course that you started and reach for the goals that you've set for yourself in your life. And I'm sure that you'll see the bounty and the blessings that you get from staying your course. Raining cats and dogs. It doesn't really rain cats and dogs. Um, it only rains cats and dogs when I'm driving between Oxford and the Gadsden Job Corps. It means to rain a lot and very heavily. It likes to do that to me when I'm driving down the road. But is it really raining a cat and really raining a dog? No. It's just raining really hard and it makes it hard to see. And it does it a lot. It waits for me to drive in the morning and then it stops. And then it waits for me to drive home in the evening and then it starts again. So it rains cats and dogs. And that's just a few of the idioms that we that there are. And like I said, there are lists. There are tons of lists. There are idioms about almost anything you could think of, any subject that you could imagine under the sun. And sometimes trying to figure out what people are saying, especially some of these old. There's a Southern idiom about everything, and I think I've over the years tried to learn them, and some of them I understand, and some of them I just don't. But if you have issues with this, or if you have just need to share anything, you can reach me at truelove.catherine@jobcorps.org or at reading1@gjcc@gmail.com. You can also leave me a comment on the Google Classroom or a comment on the Gadsden Bulldogs Facebook page. I'll be posting a lesson on idioms to the IXL and also in the Google Classroom today. You know that unless you've been told different, your username is your first name followed by the number 1 at Job Corps. Like mine would be Kathy1 at Job Corps, and my password would be Joyful1, and those are all lowercase letters. Well, I hope you guys are doing great. I hope you guys are ecstatically happy. You're doing well. These are hard times right now, and not being able to get out and do and see and be is difficult. I mean, it's difficult for people of all ages, but for people that are used to getting out and being around people, I know this is a particularly trying time, and so my thoughts are with you. My prayers are with you, and I pray that the day comes sooner rather than later that we are able to get back on center, and I look forward to seeing each of you. If you get a chance, send me a note. I miss y'all. But for now, I'll see you. Be good. Love you.